Hello students. So in today's class we are going to discuss about the concept called iteration. So what is meant by iteration? In the previous class we have discussed regarding the if condition concepts, which is the decision making statements, and now we are going to discuss about iteration concept, which means the program statements gets repeated a certain number of times. Usually in your day-to-day life, if you see, we used to repeat a certain number of tasks again and again. For example, if you take the electricity bills, or else paying your telephone bills, or recharging for your TV, so all these things we used to repeat it again and again. Even you can take the example of the life cycle of a butterfly. So if you take this particular example, the butterfly will lay eggs first, and that turns into a caterpillar, and later which is also called as larva, that becomes a pupa, where it matures as a silk moth or the butterfly. And again what the butterfly will do, it again will lay eggs, and the cycle starts again. So the cycle repeats again and again, right? So this kind of repetitive process is also called as iteration. So this kind of repetition is also called as iteration, or even you will call it as the looping process. Got it. And now repetition of a set of statements. When it comes to the programming concept, when we repeat a certain number of statements in a program again and again, that particular concept you will call it as repetition or looping constructor. Clear? So to understand further about this particular concept, we will look into further examples here. So see here, they have given here print of 1, print of 2, print of 3 till print of 5 they have given, which means what will happen? It will just print all the first 5 natural numbers in the Python shell window. But if you wanted to print some 100 numbers or 1000 natural numbers, if you try to do this print, if you try to print using the print statements, it will be a time consuming process, and you will find it literally boring to work with the programming, right? So to avoid all these things, we have to work with a concept called looping constructs, which is much similar to the decision making statements, where we have used the if keyword, and we specified a condition, and we have checked the condition, and if the condition is going to be true, the statement associated with that gets executed. But if the condition is going to be false, then the else block gets executed. So this is how we have worked so far. But when it comes to looping concept, you can display, you don't have to repeat the statements again and again by making use of the print statement. You can finish up your program statements within one single line itself, so that much it will help you to complete your work very easily. So let us see how this works. So when you look at the looping constructs, first thing, it helps you to execute a set of instructions in a program repetitively based on a condition. So based on a condition only, the program statements gets repeated again and again. And the statements in a loop, if you see, they are executed again and again only when the condition is going to be true. So only till the condition is going to be true, the statement gets executed again and again, and once the condition becomes false, it will come out of the loop, and the statements following the loop will be executed. So this is how the looping construct will work actually. And the condition usually we will check using a variable, which is called as a control variable. Even in the decision making statements, we used variables to check the condition, right? So much similar to that we will be working here in the looping constructs even. And as usual, I have said, when the condition is going to become false, the loop terminates. And here in Python programming language, we have two different types of loops. One is called a for loop, and the other one is called a while loop. And when you look at the while loop, it is also called as an indefinite loop. So when you look at examples, you will understand why I'm calling this as an indefinite loop. So and the for loop, it is also called as a definite loop. So why we call this as indefinite loop is because the statements are executed only till the condition is going to be true. But when it comes to for loop, it is called as a definite loop because we will be giving a condition to repeat the statements only for a certain number of times and not more than that. That's why we call it as a definite loop. So each time when the body of the loop is executed, it is also called as iteration or looping. So for loop. let us see some rules regarding the for loop and why we call it as a definite loop. So sometimes we need to repeat certain things for a certain number of times, right? In a program, even whether to print the first 5 natural numbers or first 100 natural numbers, or if you wanted to display the multiples of 3 in a programming language, using a programming language, all these things you can do with the help of these looping constructs. So instead of making use of the print statements again and again to display the statements. So the for statement. So here they have given it is used to iterate over a range of values or a sequence. So sequence we have already discussed, an ordered collection of items. So here in the for loop, what we will do, when you are going to specify the sequence can be, it can be a number, or it can be a string, or it can be a list or tuple. So it can be any one of these four things. And when all the items in the range, if it is going to be exhausted, the statements within the loop will not be executed, and immediately it will follow the statements after the for loop. So this is how it works. So without any delay, we'll directly go to the example to understand in depth. So this is the syntax of the for loop. So for control variable in sequence or items in a range. So control variable, this is the variable where you're going to assign, and you will just check whether the values are present in the sequence or not by using the in operator. So in is an operator over here, and you will assign a variable here, and your each and every value which you give here in the sequence will be assigned to this particular control variable. This is how the for loop will work actually. And once the items are going to be assigned for the control variable, then the statements immediately following the body of the for loop will be executed, and the else block which has been given here is completely optional. You can use the else block, or you don't have to use the else block. And as usual, I have told you that sequence of the items which you are going to give here, it can be a number or list or strings or tuples. So regarding this number, list, strings and tuples, we have discussed in the previous classes itself. And when you look at the else block, so this else block will be executed only after all the iterations of the for loop gets completed. So only when all the iterations are over here in the for loop, the else block gets executed. And when you look at the control variable, so it is a variable that takes a new value from the sequence. So each and every value which you give here in the sequence will be assigned to this particular control variable. So this is the actual functioning of the for loop. So when you look at this example over here, for, as per the syntax, for is a keyword, and letter which we have given here is the control variable, in is the operator, and Python is the sequence. So here we have given the string as the range of values. I have told you that the sequence of items can be numeric, a number, a list, or strings or tuples, right? So here they have given the sequence as a string. So letter is the control variable which we have declared here. Now we are going to assign each and every value of string to this particular variable called letter, and the statement which is following the for loop here, what they have given here, print of letter. So what will happen, for letter in Python means first letter P, that will be assigned to the variable letter, and that gets printed over here because of the print statement. So it works in a sequence. So one after the other the values gets printed. That is why the values has been displayed in the output like this. And if you look at the next letter, you have Y. So that Y will be assigned to the control variable letter, and that will be printed here in the next line. Similarly, the next letters gets printed. So this is how your for loop works. Now, instead of assigning the value directly over here to the control variable, even you can create a variable and assign the values, and that variable you can use in the for loop. So let us see how this works now. Count equal to 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 they have given. So some set of values we have assigned, which is also called as the list, because the values are enclosed within square brackets, right? And now all these values will be assigned to the count variable. This particular count variable, we are going to use it here in the for loop. Even in this alternative way also you can work in for loop. So for C is the control variable, in operator followed by the count variable. So what am I going to do here? The first value 10 will be assigned to the control variable C. And after assigning here the print statement which we have given, it will automatically print the value 10. Similarly 20. the 20 will be assigned to C and the 20 gets printed. So it keeps going till 50, and once all the iterations are over, it will come out of the loop and it will end the for loop. So, and this is how this second example will work. And even in the third example, if you see, they have used the if condition inside the for loop. So this is also possible. So let us see how this works. And numbers equal to, starting from 1 till 10, they have given certain numbers inside the list. And for n in numbers, n is a control variable in operator, and numbers here it is checking for n in numbers, means it will check whether the values are present in the numbers variable or not. And each and every value we are going to assign it to the variable n. So first value 1. So 1, if I'm assigning it to n, what will happen here? We are going to check the condition inside the for loop. So if n modulus 2 means what will happen? 1 modulus 2. So the remainder of 1 modulus 2 will not be equal to 0. So what will happen? This print statement will not work. It will not get printed. So it will check with the second iteration. So second iteration is 2. So that 2 will be assigned to n, and then in the if condition we are going to check here 2 modulus 2, which is equal to 0. So when the condition gets satisfied, what will happen? The statement associated with if condition gets executed. As 2 is an even number, so 2 is an even number gets printed. Similarly, it will check with the value 3, then it will check with the value 4, so it keeps going. So starting from 1 till 10, all the values will be checked in sequence, and once the iteration gets over, the statement following the for loop will be executed. So this is how for loop will work. And even much similar program which we have discussed previously, the same thing they have given here. So a list of values they have assigned for the numbers variable, followed by for loop. So in the for loop they have assigned a variable, control variable num, followed by in numbers. So each and every value when you assign it over here, and they are checking using the condition if. So if of num modulus 2 means what will happen? 1 modulus 2, obviously it will not be equal to 0, and 2 modulus 2, yes, of course it is equal to 0. So when the condition gets satisfied, it will automatically print the statement associated with if statement. Yes, so this is how your for loop works. And now let us see one more example based on the for loop statement. See here they have given for I in 1, 2, 3. So 1, 2, 3 is a string actually, because they have enclosed within quotes, and I is a control variable. So what we are going to do here, we are just going to check assign each and every values to the control variable I. And what is the statement they have given following the for loop? Print of welcome I times. So welcome is a string, I is the control variable which you are going to access from the for loop, because when you assign the value 1 to I, this 1 will be accessed over here because of the variable. So welcome 1 times, and when you when it moves to the second iteration, this 2 will be assigned to I, and then it will automatically print the statement as welcome 2 times. And later if you assign the value 3, so for the third iteration welcome 3 times gets printed. So understood. So even one more program, if you see here, to generate the table of a number using for loop. So to generate the multiplication of multiples of 3, starting from 3 into 1 till 3 into 10. Even this is possible using the for loop in Python programming. So not only by making use of for loop, even you can make use of the while loop concept even. So as we are discussing about the for loop here, I'm explaining with this particular concept. So to print the multiples of 3, what we have to do here is num equal to 3. So num equal to 3, they are just assigning the value 3 to the variable num. And now what they have done here is for I in range of 1, 11. So what we are doing here, in the for loop, I is a control variable, in is the operator, and range, which is a keyword. I'll explain you why we have used the range function here. So range is a function actually, and they have given the values, that is the starting number and the ending number. So the starting number and the ending number they have provided. It is not that in the previous programs, if you have seen whatever values you wanted to print in the Python shell, you have to specify all the values, but it is not like that over here when you make use of the range function. It is enough if you just provide the starting number and the ending number. Automatically the for loop iterates starting from number 1 till number 10. You got it? So in the previous programs, if you have seen, you would have given all the numbers starting from 1 till 10. So you have to give all the numbers. So the program can also be alternatively returned with the help of the range function. So range of 1, 11, if you give, what will happen? Starting from 1 till 11, it will automatically iterate. So first it will check with the number 1, then it will go with the number 2, then it will go with the number 3. So automatically it iterates because of the range function. So I'll discuss about the range function in the next class so that you will understand very clearly. And now the print statement here, what they have done, num is a variable here, so 3 gets printed, and then this x has been given as a string, so x gets printed as such, and I is a control variable because each and every value will be assigned to the control variable I. So 1 that will be assigned to I, what will happen? That 1 gets printed here, equal to is a string again, followed by num into I. So num is a variable and I is a variable. You are just accessing the value. So for the variable num, 3 is there, into what is the value of I as of now, which is 1. So 3 into 1. So what will happen here? 3 into 1, that particular value will be displayed here. 3 into 1, the result is 3, that gets displayed. So this is how it works, and again for the first iteration gets over, it will move on with the second iteration. So second iteration, 2 will be assigned to I, so it will check with the 2 will be assigned over here. 3 into 2 is equal to 6 will be displayed. So it keeps checking again and again till the last digit. So here if you wanted to display the value till 10, you have to give one number next to 10, that is till 11. If you give, you have it will display the values till 10. So when I discuss about the range function, you will understand much clear about it. And if you look at the range function, I have told you it is used in the above program to generate the values from 1 to 10, and I, as usual, it is a loop control variable that will be assigned and each generated value for which the body of the for loop will be executed. So here they have given a program to display the factorial of an inputted number, and so some of the points to remember regarding the for loop. So let us see what are the points we have to remember with, especially when you're making use of the for loop. So for loop in Python it is used to iterate values from range of values, strings, list, tuples, and or dictionary. So these are the values which you can give inside the for loop in a sequence. An else statement I have told you that is completely optional, and repeated execution of statements you will also call it as iteration or loop. And the loop variable, if you see, it contains the highest value of the list after the for loop is over. Then for loop value of for loop variable cannot be defined beforehand, as for loop is a definite loop. Yes, and it can execute only for a specified number of times. Then now you would have understood from this particular example. I have told you for loop is a definite loop because we will specify in advance how many times the loop has to be executed. So only for 10 times I have given. So only 10 times the loop gets executed, and once the iteration is over, it will automatically come out of the loop. So this is how it works. Now you understood why we call the for loop as a definite loop. So I hope you understood all the concepts regarding the for loop, and in the next class I'll tell you about the range function. So thank you guys.